good, people? What's going on? What's good? You guys are tuned back into The Statement. Me and my man Tyrone. It's your boy Caleb Smith. Tyrone, thank you for coming on again.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes, sir. Tyrone, this week so far it's been crazy, but for you personally, how's it been so far?
This week for me, it's been one of those ones more stressful in my head than what it really was.
Facts.
But I'm happy to have some stuff done. I got a paper done in short notice.
Yeah.
But still just got last couple projects coming up and all sorts of stuff. But overall, pretty smooth week.
My man.
Ready for Thanksgiving, that's for sure.
Yes. Same here, man. In the news, it's been crazy as well. I know that you guys are pretty much already knowledgeable about these things, but in 1,000 Oaks, that shooting, another mass shooting, this is crazy. I think we're over 300 mass shootings in a year.
Really?
Tough. And seeing this case, I found it very interesting, too, because I have yet to have heard someone call this man a terrorist, just straight up. And it's sad because gun violence, this is the same issue that keeps resurfacing more and more and more. And I don't know exactly what laws like we should implement, but just seeing the same thing happening, something has to change. And I think that we also have to be fair. Like when we see these things happen, we are quick to call somebody, if his name was Muhammad or something, or if he was Islamic, or if he was a quote-unquote minority, we would have called this a terroristic act. But seeing how this happens and we don't even call it what it is. So I don't know exactly why. Well, actually, I think we do know why. But Tyrone, why do you think that we have this shooting or these shootings happening, number one? And then number two, what's up with people not just calling a spade a spade?
So the first question on why I think this is happening, I think just living in a civilized community or really over, a populated community, something like that, there tends to be trends, especially in America, because I've always wondered this too, like why does this keep happening?
Right.
And to look at that, I had to look back a little bit. So in the 70s, 60s, and around that time, there was a string of like serial killers. Like America had a really big serial killer problem. Then in the 80s, there was a guy who went and shot up. He used to work at a post office, and he went and shot everybody at the post office, and that's where the term "going postal" comes from.
Okay, I never knew that.
Yeah, but after that, there was a string of people shooting up post offices after that, and now. I feel like I'm seeing that same pattern here where school shootings or just mass shootings in general, it seems like it happens here and then it continues to happen. And what I think what that is, I think just the way we have a very sensationalized news cycle right now. Right. And things come in waves. Yeah. So I feel like when school shootings come around, and with the 24 hours news cycle, you have to talk about it all day and all night. Yeah. And you're talking, and then you can't help it, but at some point you start to humanize, the perpetrators and things like that. And I think for people who are really impressionable or really, down in life and just really need something, I think they look at that and say, oh, like this guy is getting talked about everywhere. Like I've been trying to get people to understand what I've been going through for the longest. But
there you go. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I feel like that's why it keeps happening. Just the way we cover it kind of then in turn like creates more of it. And as far as why aren't we calling a spade, it's funny you say that because I thought it was interesting when I first heard about when it was going on and they said they apprehended him, like they didn't kill him, like because was it 1,000 Oaks, or I believe there might have been another shooting where the guy like shot a police officer.
I think because for this one I didn't see that one, but it could have been.
I think there was another, which is so crazy that I have to speak like this, but it was another over shooting not too long before that in this general time where a guy shot at police officers, but like they apprehended him. I'm like, they didn't shoot him, they didn't like aim to kill or whatever, but
and see, Tyrone, that's the thing that kills me sometimes, because these are men who are actual threats to society. And when we see people being shot down by the police and these officers saying, I was in fear for my life, hearing these things, it's like, I get that part, but at the same time, we can't use that same argument when we have people that's shooting innocent people and these people go get, like Dylan Roof, a stop at Burger King. and these people are treated like regular people. So I think that racism, this is so prevalent within our society, and people aren't just addressing this straight up, but seeing these issues constantly resurface, like Dylan Roof saying how he wasn't killed on the spot, or seeing how we have a guy who was in Dallas and we had a police officer go inside of his apartment and shoot him and say that she thought that someone broke inside of her apartment, but it wasn't, of course. So seeing these things, it's like we have to have balance. So we can't have officers saying that they're in fear for their lives and killing innocent people, but then when we have people that's actually killed innocent people, we treat them like they're regular citizens. So I find it very scary, and we do not call these people terrorists. We have people like Trump talking about immigrants are the biggest threat, but we aren't even addressing our own threats within America.
Yeah, I did hear someone bring that up, with that salacious ad that got pulled by I think that the Republicans were going to put it out. And everybody was saying that because that ad was specifically pointing out one guy, saying like, this type of people you want over here. But then it's like literally all these other things are going on inside the country, imploding. And he doesn't address that.
That's tough. And Sean King, if you guys do not follow him on Instagram, he's a really dope journalist. He said all over the country today, prominent conservatives and their followers tweeted with weird glee that Middle Eastern man, quote unquote, shot and killed 12 people in a mass shooting in Florida. Instead, it was almost always is a white man. His name is Ian David Long. This means those same conservatives will no longer care outside of fake thoughts and prayers. How do you feel about that quote?
So he's saying that, read it to me again?
Yeah. So Sean King said all over the country today, prominent conservatives and their followers tweeted with a weird glee that a quote-unquote Middle Eastern man shot and killed 12 people in a mass shooting in California. Instead, it was, almost always is, a white man. His name is Ian David Long. This means those conservatives will no longer care outside of fake thoughts and fake prayers.
That's interesting.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, it's almost like human nature in a way. Of your own in-group, you don't want to assume the worst.
Right.
You kind of don't.
Self-reflection.
Yeah. Even as black people, you hear something, you're just like, dang, like, I hope it's not a black guy.
Right.
So I feel like they're kind of in that part of their,
it's tough.
Perspective
right
in society. People are looking at them, and every time a mass shooting goes on, I'm pretty sure there's like a group of white guys going, please don't be a white guy, please don't be a white guy. So I feel like just as a stage of denial, the first stage is to be like, oh well, it was some Muslim guy, or it was probably some ISIS attack or something like that. I think that's just what that is. It's just a defense mechanism.
That's deep. It's scary too, because again, when we have this xenophobic like society somewhat of we can't have these people come in because we're afraid, but then at the same time, for us to even be in that position, we have to be real with ourselves. And you said that perfectly, like we are in denial sometimes, and sometimes I wouldn't even say we, it's just sometimes Trump's administration, all those good people. But I think that this shows last week how we said politics now isn't even politics. This is all about entertainment. And with Trump, at the end of the day, people have to realize, although he may not be all the way there, he still is to a certain degree, because he's a genius when it comes to getting people on his side or manipulating people's minds to be on his side. And I think that right now with Trump, he knows that if it's this racist white person in rural Alabama or Georgia, or if we have this person who is pro-white to a certain degree, he can bring up, hey, ISIS. He can bring up these immigrants. They're taking your jobs. But the most dangerous thing is he's not bringing up instances like these where we aren't holding each other accountable as Americans. And seeing how we have somebody like this, David Long, I think he was in the Army, and hearing how some people called him a hero and he just suffered from PTSD, I'm like, I wish that we would get all these excuses. Like, I remember seeing Mike Brown when he was murdered and seeing how they were bringing up his mugshots, or Trayvon Martin. And I'm not even trying to make this big race thing, but
I agree with you. It's not even a problem that they're trying to humanize the guy, but it's the fact that you pick and choose when you decide to humanize someone.
Exactly.
I feel that.
And it's not consistent, because I remember the guy who died in Dallas, I forgot his name, But when he died, I found it so sad. They were discussing how he had marijuana within his apartment.
Yeah, like, what did that have to do with anything?
Last time I checked, somebody came inside of his apartment and murdered him.
Mm-hmm.
But we're bringing up that he had marijuana inside of his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about cocaine. We're not talking about heroin, crack. He just had marijuana. And again, he was murdered. So now we're trying to justify subconsciously that this guy was a thug probably, or he was a threat to society. So it's scary, man, and seeing how with this, we're talking about he suffered from PTSD. And that is most definitely a real thing. Like, I appreciate his service, all that good stuff. But at the same time, we still have to be aware that that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. This is, I know it's not on our topic sheet, but, well, first of all, are you getting sick? I feel like I can hear it in your voice you're getting sick.
Nah, hey, I'm not. Hey, I just
Really?
woke up from a nap.
Okay, that's the way you still got that morning voice on you. But, did you hear about the incident with Trump and CNN?
Nah. Oh, yeah. Was it the reporter, I think?
Mm-hmm.
How he
Jim
spoke to
Acosta.
him? Yep.
Yeah, so so for the people who didn't know, Jim Acosta is one of the White House correspondents for CNN,
Mm-hmm.
and he's constantly been at Trump's neck, but in a way where some people would say is unprofessional.
Right.
Some people would argue is unprofessional. Like, but it all came to a head at this most recent press conference where Donald Trump was speaking, and I believe Jim Acosta was asking him something regarding. It may have had something to do with the Russia probe, or one of those things that he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah.
But he was just like, I'm not going to answer that. But Jim Acosta just kept pressing, like, just asking the question without even being asked. And finally, Trump was like, someone please take the mic from this guy. And he sent, as he so calls, a White House intern over there to reach for the mic. And in the video, you can see Jim Acosta kind of like, say, like, don't touch me. Like, he wasn't aggressive with it, but it was kind of like a,
you don't get these hands.
Not even, but I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted. It was like, don't touch me, little girl.
Right.
But, so they used that somehow to spin it as he assaulted a White House employee.
Wow.
And so now they said they tried to revoke his press pass. They revoked his press pass.
Wow.
So then leading into that, CNN then filed a lawsuit against the White House.
Are you serious?
Yeah, saying that it was in violation of Jim Acosta's, or I don't know if it was on behalf of CNN or Jim Acosta, but they were in violation of his Fifth Amendment right, which has to do with due process.
Yeah.
And through that, he's managed to get it back. But I'm pretty sure, Trump is probably not going to call him.
I was about to say, like, he'll
never
never get a question answered.
Yeah.
Wow.
But how do you feel about that in the president now, trying to ban news outlets that he's not a fan of? Now, granted, you could make a case that he was being unprofessional. He wasn't speaking when he was spoken to.
Correct.
But just this whole situation in his previous past with the press, how do you feel about that? Or just in general, how do you feel about Trump's relationship with the press?
Again, great question, Tyrone. Like always. But man, that's tough. It is very tough because it can go both ways. But I think at the same time, regarding this situation with Trump, it's a lot of hypocrisy seeing this, because I remember you bringing up words like assault. We're talking about the same guy that sexually assaulted multiple women, talked about grabbing women by their you-know-whats. So we can't really take how he carries out discipline serious, because he's a guy who doesn't even hold himself to those same standards. So I think that with this, we have President Obama, and we are, I think, aware that it was instances where he might not have agreed with a reporter's stance, but at the end of the day, that's that reporter's right. They get to write exactly, if they want, according to that newspaper, that outlet, their voice, how they feel, information. So I think that we can't create this society, which is already being created, of we only want to hear what we want to hear. And I think even if we want to dumb this down or break this down more so, if we talk about social media, how we only follow people that we want to see, or we only follow news outlets that we want to read from. Watching TV, I try to watch Fox News now, not because I like it, I hate Fox News, but I just want to understand where other people are coming from. So then if I talk to somebody who's a conservative, who is a Republican or a Kemp supporter, a Trump supporter,
empathize.
I can start to empathize with them. I'm not saying that is right, but I can start to empathize. And I think that right now what Trump is teaching people, because people have to realize the president of the United States is the face of the country to the world. So although we may not take Trump serious, people that's outside of America, the first guy who they view as American number one is President Donald Trump. So he's setting this tone, or this president, that he gets to control the narrative. And I think that that's not fair, because we still have people that have stories that need to be told, and I think that journalists hold politicians accountable. So it's not safe, because I think that we see this now where we have so many hate groups. It's been such a rise in that. Or we have racism that's crazy now. Like, we have people calling the cops on minorities all the time, like all this stuff, because we have somebody who's showing people that if you don't agree with somebody, just push them out the way, and it's not safe.
I feel like what his response for this will be, considering, because the irony of it all is that the judge that reinstated his press pass was a judge that Trump appointed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
wow.
I feel like what his response to this will be, he'll just stop talking to the press. Because there was a while he wouldn't talk to the press. He had that's where Sarah Huckabee would go and answer all his questions.
There.
Yeah. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like now he'll probably just be like, well, now I'm not going to talk to, because there's a bunch of videos now of out now of him like, verbally disrespecting, journalists and things like that, just because I think it was the woman asked him a question about, she asked him, considering Mueller and that, she was like, do you still want to have Mueller like running whatever he's running?
Right.
And he just looked at her and was like, that's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life. And he was like, I've been following you for a while. He was like, and you ask nothing but stupid questions. And I was like, wow, man, like, this guy's really just had it with the press.
See, that's the thing that I think is dangerous, because, again, we have this person that's not being diplomatic. We have somebody who's not being presidential, if you will. So seeing this, again, Trump supporters, I got to give it to them. They ride hard for him. I respect that. Like, they ride super hard for Trump. But what they have to realize is, do not follow this man's example, because it's not safe to talk to people like that, because these are professionals. And for instance, let's say that President Obama said that.
Yeah.
It could be the end of the world. And we're talking about Michelle, her interview, it was amazing. I think it was on ABC on Sunday, but seeing how she was called a monkey by somebody, or all these different things. But then we have Trump, who is the complete antithesis of what a president is supposed to be. So if we have people that's following this, and if we have people that support him hard, they have to understand that, guys, like, it's not okay to follow this man by example, because you cannot talk to journalists like that. You can't, because journalists serve as a voice for the people, because without a journalist, you don't know exactly what's going on. So it's tough, and it's extremely scary. It's extremely scary.
Okay, and then I have one more thing, and then we can move on to the next topic.
Hey, you're good. It's no rush. What's up?
So I just wanted to know, I'll give you my opinion first, and then I want to hear yours.
All right.
So with everything that's going on, something's not quite making sense, at least from a point of view of someone who lives in a major city and who watches quote unquote liberal media. But it doesn't quite make sense how let me rephrase it like this. Let me just come out and say it. I feel like Democrats are taking a position in politics now where it's like, they're taking the moral high ground. Like, they're taking that Michelle Obama quote, when they go low, we go high. Right. I think they're taking that, but they're not doing anything with it, because, I feel like a lot of people around, we spoke on this last episode, it's a lot of emotional manipulation going on.
Big facts.
But I feel like where Democrats seem to fall flat is that they take this moral high ground position of, we don't say this, we're not sexist, we don't do this, but they don't really offer any solutions to anything. It seems like. So I'm really wondering what you would think. What does, with the presidential election coming up fairly soon, people are about to start doing their campaigns probably next year. What can Democrats do? Like, what is it that they can do? Because obviously we've seen taking the moral high ground isn't the winning route.
Because as you see, being a savage, that wins. So again, that's an amazing question, but honestly, I think that there is no particular answer to that. But I will say this, I think that for a while the Democratic Party has been finessing black people. They have been finessing college students, liberals, for a very long time.
They've been selling a dream.
And I know Republicans, when they say the Democratic Party has done nothing for you guys, I get that. But at the same time, if we try to go Republican, we already know exactly how you guys feel too. Mm-hmm. But as well, I think that it was really cool seeing the 2016 race, because I think Hillary Clinton represented something, and so did Trump. Clinton, she represented a lie, but people were okay with being with a good lie. With Trump, he represented the truth. He shows you how he felt about you.
It was an ugly truth.
And it was the ugly truth. So it was the ugly truth versus a pretty lie, somewhat. So I think some people would rather have a very beautiful lie. Like some people would rather date Rihanna knowing that she's cheating on you. You can say I'm with Rihanna rather than dating somebody who's very unattractive.
Yeah.
So I think that for so long, man, Democrats really haven't done too much for us. And I think that it's been so obvious, it's been so evident, but people just aren't real with themselves. But we have to understand that it really lies on us. And I think that this past governor's race, as we just found out like a few minutes ago, Stacey Abrams, she's conceded. So seeing that, we have to understand that it is more about what we can do, not about what somebody else can do for us. Because all of us voted this time. We can't say that nobody voted. 2016, you could have said that, but now you cannot say that. All of us voted. All of us got together. We had our voices heard, everything. But at the end of the day, what happened, Tyrone? We still had voter suppression take place. We still had stuff with computers and systems. So this shows us do not rely simply on voting. It goes beyond voting. So I think that the answer to your question is us actually doing tangible things besides just voting. And I think that that's where we've fallen short for so long. We trusted people like JFK, like he was going to save us. Because I remember in class, African American Studies, we actually talked about that if we go back to Big Mama's house from like the 1970s and the 80s, and I remember the Johnson Family Reunion, it was a movie, Steve Harvey was in it, Cedric the Entertainer, Bow Wow. As you saw that first scene when he went over to his grandma's house, or his mom's house actually, it was White Jesus, JFK, MLK. And I think that our problem is sometimes that we put, which I found very symbolic, because sometimes we put so much into figures rather than ourselves. If you're Christian, I'm not saying that you put your faith inside of a figure. Of course not. But at the same time, even in the Bible, it tells you that you still have to do your own part too. So we just can't pray and then expect for a miracle. Like we have to do our own due diligence as well. And I think that when it comes to that, to the Democratic Party, we don't do our part all the way. We put so much trust into these people rather than trusting in ourselves as well. So that's how I think. But who knows though, man, because as you see, like we don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, the game changes every time.
It changes every time, because who would have thought that Trump, that he would have won in the first place? So as you see, it's this thing that's really unprecedented. But I think that we really have to trust each other, because we can't expect for people that's backed by money. Like people have to understand that politics is built by lobbyism. So if somebody spends $2 million on your campaign, you're gonna do more what that person has interested in rather than doing what Big Mama did just by putting one vote in. So that's how it is. It's all about power.
All right, I like that answer.
It's all about power, man. But Tyrone, man, this next topic is going to be hilarious. Good people, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, you guys are listening to The Statement, your favorite podcast presented by the GSU Signal. Tyrone, man, this is super wild. Sean King, he reported that a man inside of a hospital who worked at a hospital had on a Confederate t-shirt with a noose, and he took it to the voting polls. So let's check this out. Meet Clayton Hickey. That sounds
terrible name.
Terrible name, off the rip. He was not a worker at the polls, at some thought, but he was a hospital employee and a former cop. He was just fired by Regional One Health in Memphis, and they said that hospital worker was fired after wearing a Confederate shirt with a noose to voting polls. Wow. So, Tyrone, we were talking about voting on our past episode, which was great. Make sure that you guys check that out too. But it's weird, man, seeing how, why are so many races going harder than ever? What's up with that? Like, I was expecting during Obama days to go super hard, which they did. But it's like now it's on a whole nother level, man. Hey, what's up with that? Do you think Trump, he might have a slight responsibility or a big responsibility for this?
I think Trump definitely has a responsibility, but I don't think in the way that we think he does.
Okay.
So I think people would probably lean towards saying that, okay, well, since Donald Trump is acting, however he's acting, it's then, it's green lighting people to just changing or warping people's minds and things like that. But what Donald Trump did was he called the bluff on basically everybody. Like, during Obama's era, there was a whole lot of, PC culture was a big thing when Obama was president. Like, you couldn't really say too much things that even sounded too offensive. Yeah. So I felt like, people were just scared of the monster under the bed.
I like that.
Yeah. So people were just like, I don't want to say how I feel because if I do, people look at me different, this, that, and this. But then Donald Trump goes up there and says what's on his mind, whether you agree with it or not. Yeah. He says what he's on his mind, and everybody's like, oh, it's over with for him. Like, he's not going to win anything. But if anything, it improved him. It made him do better. Right. So I feel like people looked at that and was like, oh, there is no monster under the bed. It's all just talk.
Right.
So if they're talking, why can't I talk?
Oh, man. That's a great point, Tyrone. And I think that, speaking in that same sentiment, man, great point. Because monster underneath the bed. I like that. Because, man, I think that really what people have to understand more so is being PC sometimes can actually be harmful to you. Because I think with Hillary, like, people felt as though we didn't get the real her. It was this fake facade. It was this image. I remember seeing her dance with Roland Martin. I think she was doing the nay and she was whipping. And it's like stuff like that. Like, you're not invited to the cookout, Hillary. Like, you have to chill. And I think that we have people who try way too hard. And being PC, I think what Trump did, and I think that people need to study his strategy. I found it very genius, and I don't respect Trump, but I gotta give props where props are due. This man realized, like what you said, people are afraid to speak how they feel. He also realized our political climate at that time. It was people who were very unhappy about President Obama being president. It was people who felt like America wasn't being America, quote unquote, white again. So make America great again. So many words, make America white again. And that they were losing America as it was. Now we had a black president, LGBTQ, you could be married now. Everything is really being accepted. And I think although we had police brutality take place like none other, but I think that at that time during Obama's years, it felt like we were actually being a very progressive society. And I think that scared conservatives. And what Trump did, rather than being PC, I think that Trump knew that he couldn't afford to be PC. He had to bring those voters out of the South up. And seeing how Brian Kemp, this man's promo video, he was loading a gun, talking about they aren't taking our guns. He had the American flag in front of his house. So I think that not being PC is actually the smartest thing right now.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to be straight up, because I think people want the real, because for so long we've had fake politicians.
And I think that, my favorite person to compare Donald Trump to is Tekashi 6ix9ine.
He's a troll.
Now, both of them exposed some things that we thought were always just like untouchable in a sense. So with Tekashi 6ix9ine, for the people who know him or know of him, he has a rep of going at your favorite rappers. He goes online, comes at Chief Keef, YG, The Game. Well, I don't think he's gone at The Game yet, but all these soon. But all these rappers who we just have this persona that, or what's the word I'm looking for? We have this image that he's
a real thug.
Yeah, you don't want to talk to him. You don't want to do him like that. And I think Tekashi going online saying, I ain't afraid of you dudes, come at me, this, that, and this.
He'll be having bodyguards.
I mean, but granted, he knows deep down, maybe not the people that are associated with him. He probably can't control them. But he knows your favorite rapper isn't what he raps about. Like, your favorite rapper is just that. He's an entertainer. He's not really still out here if he's smart, he's not still out here on the streets selling drugs or killing people and all the stuff that he's saying in his rhymes. So he's like, I'm going to expose that and I'm going to play off of it and I'm going to get big off of it. And I feel like Donald Trump, him being such a person in high society for so long, he saw behind the curtain. He knew what was really going on. He knew none of these politicians were really believing in half the things they spoke about. He knew that, they feel one way behind closed doors and what they say. So he used that to come out and say, well, I'm going to just come out and say what I know y'all want to say, but I know you can't. And y'all are going to try to come at me and stop me. You're going to look stupid doing it. And in turn, it's going to make me look even better. And I feel like they both played that same game, which is so funny how they're both big in this same time. And that's what I think. I think that he just he unveiled, what was behind the curtain. He showed the magic trick. He was like, it's just a string, and I think that's what he did. I think that's why people are the way they are now. He showed it's all a game.
He's the troll guy, man.
Exactly.
I like it because I think now, and I say this all the time, Trump, he gave so many people, so many racist people, if you will, so much confidence. It's like now people don't mind expressing how they feel anymore. People like Roseanne going on Twitter, just saying straight up exactly how she feels. And honesty is cool, but it is a fine line between honesty and ignorance. Mm-hmm. Like Megyn Kelly, when it came to blackface, saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was an issue," but come on, of course you did. But I think that people have to understand, if you are willing to be that honest, you have to understand all the consequences, all the repercussions that come from you being that honest. Mm-hmm. And with Trump, he can do that because Trump has nothing to lose. These other people, these celebrities, all these people, you have everything to lose. And I think that sometimes it's just safe, even if you feel a certain way, just keep it behind the closet, because associating yourself with Trump is not safe. Like, that's very murky waters. Like, you don't even want to do that because, I mean, again, seeing how he treats a journalist or how he treats women or everything that he says is crazy. It's crazy. And I think DeSantis, he probably won in Florida for governor, and how he talked about the monkeys are loose or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, all these people associated with Trump are wild boys. and I think that right now it's not even diplomatic, but then at the same time, they can say, well, all the past presidents, that they probably felt the same way, but they were just too afraid to say it. So it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's very, very interesting because, like what you said, Trump is saying what other people are thinking anyways. So it's scary, man. It's scary. So do you think that even if people feel that way, that they should express it, or should they just keep it in sometimes?
Well, I'm always a big fan of, well, I'm not a big fan of people internalizing their feelings, because if you do that, it arguably makes your hate even stronger.
Very true.
If you suppress it and hold it in and feel like you can't tell. Yeah, I feel like, it then grows even greater to, wanting to cause harm to someone or something like that. Right. So, I'm not saying, I'm endorsing hate groups. Right. But at the same time, I mean, everybody needs an outlet,
That's facts.
And I'm going to be perfectly fine. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If all the racists wanted to get together and have their little meeting in their little household, we hate these people, we don't want to do this. Hey, man, do whatever y'all want to do. Right. But the problem is when you go out and now you're trying to impose your will and your thoughts and your opinions on other people, saying these people aren't this, they can't do this, do that. Because, I mean, everybody has their own prejudgments and, things like that in their head. And, it's all just a matter of whether you act on it or not is what separates a racist from somebody who has racist thoughts.
That's very true.
So, I mean, I think you should be able to express your thoughts no matter what they are. But I think where and how you do them is where people seem to not be able to come to an understanding on.
And I'm glad that you actually mentioned that, because I think as well, even if it's on the left, if it comes with people trying to force other people to accept how you think. And I think that right now we are in this space where we don't understand that it's okay to disagree as long as we do it respectfully. But instead, people have this mindset of, if I feel this way, you're going to agree with me, and if you don't, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's a lot of tribalism.
There we go. There we go. And like, that's not safe, because we're all human beings. Everybody's so complex. We all come from different backgrounds, walks of life. So we're not always going to see eye to eye. But biggest thing is we have to understand, and you said this earlier as well, empathize with the other side. We just can't neglect each other and say, well, he's this, he's that, because there's always a truth within there, but we have to find that truth. So that's all what it is. That's all what it is. And speaking of truth, man, somebody is the truth right now. We're talking about him. The deacon. The deacon. David, if you are checking this out, man, much love to you, bro. We're so proud of you. Tyrone, David Shilley, Georgia State's very own. I think he's at 3 million right now. He was on Good Morning America, and they said a college student's broadcasting reel has racked up millions of views after he tweeted it in hopes of landing his very first job. David Shilley, 22, shared the digital resume onto Twitter on Sunday and has since received 61,000 retweets, including messages from influencers in the industry. after tweeting his reel, he received positive feedback and retweets from the likes of Keith Olbermann of ESPN, Phil Murphy of ESPN, Elle Duncan of Sports Anchor, ESPN, Steve Weiss, NFL Network, Taylor Rooks, Bleacher Report, Ian Turner Sports, Maria Taylor, ESPN again, and rapper Lil Yachty retweeted. Robin Roberts, anchor of ABC's Good Morning America, retweeted as well. How you feel about that, Tyrone? Oh, by the way, people, Tyrone took his headshot as well, right? Shout out to that. You might have to sell it on eBay.
Yeah, bro. I was one of the first ones to get an exclusive with Mr. David. But
that's what's up.
Yeah, I'm always happy when somebody who comes from just a similar background from me. So to him, to be a member of NABJ or be a student at Georgia State and just to be an aspiring journalist and entertainer and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm always happy to see somebody do something, get the recognition that they deserve.
Right.
So I'm extremely happy for him, and I was really excited to see it too. When I saw it like blowing up, I was like, wow, like
it's crazy.
That's so wild. And then I let it go look. I was like, I think I have a picture of this guy. Like I'm pretty sure I've spoken to him, and I'm like, I see him on campus all the time.
That's so wild, man. Tyrone, it's crazy. Like seeing somebody. And I think I had to keep looking at it because I was like, this does not feel real. We're talking about celebrities retweeting stuff, and this right here shows you for anybody who's listening. If you have a dream, sometimes social media, that can be your best friend because you never know. Like you can reach people that you would have never even imagined of talking to, speaking to, all that good stuff. So seeing that, man, that's a great inspiration. Like shout out to Sheely for real because like 3 million?
Yeah. And then to people listening, and you think that, oh, my reel isn't as good as his, or I don't think, one of the good journalism professors here at Georgia State, Miss Linda Patillo.
I heard about her.
She says that perfection can often sometimes be your worst enemy. And sometimes you'll be looking at your work and be like, oh, I just can't get it. It doesn't look how I want it to look, or it's not as good as this guy. It's not as good. Just put it out.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just better to put something out than to put nothing out at all.
That's facts. That's big facts.
And then even, people love, America loves an underdog story. So, even if you're putting something out every day, that incremental process, people love to see that. People love to see you come from nothing and, go to the top.
That's big facts, man. And again, seeing somebody who we see all the time, somebody that's on campus doing his thing, and it shows people, man, just grind. And I think that the biggest thing to take away from Sheely's story is that treat your years in college as, I remember this because Professor Daniel, Christopher Daniel, I remember he told us this in class, man. He said, treat school like you're already graduated from school. So these 4 years, treat it like you have to have a job, like right now. So then when that time comes, you'll have everything necessary. You'll have your reel, you'll have your portfolio, your articles, pictures, all that good stuff. So I think that that's what David did. Like he grinded so hard that he was pretty much already a professional. He just needed that shot. So he already had everything polished. And I think that sometimes people half do it in school and say, well, I'm just gonna wait till I graduate, or we get so focused on just graduating, but that's not important sometimes. Of course, graduating is important, but let that be the icing on the cake, if you will. So just grind right now, so then after school you won't have any problem finding a job, rather than just focusing on graduating. Then after school you don't have the tools, experience, all that stuff. So yeah.
And another thing, I know people probably be like, he just got lucky. People will say he just got lucky.
Nah.
And even if you will say that he got lucky, I like to define luck as when preparation meets opportunity.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I like
so
that.
It's when it wasn't just lucky that Lil Yachty tweeted his reel or all these. It wasn't luck per se, but he's been grinding, like you say. He's been, he's a member at GSTV,
ESPN3 Radio.
And then in NABJ and things like that. So the hard work is there, and he just so happened to put it out, and the right person at the right time just so happened to see it, and I mean, he just got that opportunity, and now look at him.
Bruh, sky's the limit for real. And I think that at State, honestly, because Sheely and I, we've had these conversations, and a lot of us on campus, I think that really, I'm not even playing around, but like our group at State, I think that all of us have so much to offer. It's going to be really scary seeing where everybody is like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because seeing how people like Sheely, they're already doing it, or Dimitri Chin right now, he's covering the Falcons and he's only a junior. Like we have so many people that's active. Cecil, I already know that he's at SC right now.
He was covering the Thousand Oaks and the fires and everything going on.
Again, like we have so many people that's so active. Tony Bedden Jr., he was on Channel 2. So NABJ, shout out to all you guys, the Signal, because we have so many talented kids here. And I think that this right here shows, man, just put your head down in the dirt, grind. I know it's not easy sometimes, but always put yourself in a better predicament for tomorrow. And I think sometimes people don't think about tomorrow. Like, we live in this society sometimes where it's YOLO, you only live once, yada, 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 which is dope. It's a time and place for everything. But always think about tomorrow so you can have an easier tomorrow than what you had today. So I think that if you just continue to work hard, stay focused, do what you have to do all throughout school, and then after school, everything, it'll be all lined up for you, all in place.
Yeah, man.
So that's it.
Good word.
Yeah, man. Hey, we gotta preach to you guys. But Tyrone, what music, what artists should we look out for before we head out, so everybody can get those playlists going?
Okay, so let's see. I had someone in my mind when I was coming over here, but I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm going through my music library to.
It is all good.
See who it was. Okay, I got one.
What's up?
So, it is a hip-hop R&B artist. You know, artists nowadays don't like to tie themselves to a genre. So,
at all.
But
I'm an artist.
A hip-hop R&B artist, though, goes by the name of Jazz Ingram.
Okay.
You can find him by name on all streaming platforms, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Tidal, I'm not sure. But definitely on Apple Music, SoundCloud, Spotify.
That's dope.
I think his @name on Instagram is Baby Bottle Dad.
Baby Bottle Dad, I like that.
You know how these new artists are there.
That's
but
what's up.
I love the guy.
Okay.
I went to high school with him. He was like 2 or 3 years younger than me. And I've been seeing him grind since then till now, and just to see the progress, and I see a very big future for him. So be on the lookout for him, Mr. Jazz Ingram.
Jazz Ingram, I got you, Tyrone. Let me add that in. And if you guys are not familiar, Vory, V-O-R-Y, he's a beast as well. Check out his work. I think you guys would really love that. And also, if you guys can, continue to check out our podcast too, man, because I think that everybody's enjoying it. The past one is almost at 50 views, so we appreciate all the love. Like, that was the pilot, so we appreciate that, man. And we're going to just try to keep growing and keep showing out for you guys. I think that's like the most important thing. But keep sharing, keep liking. Tyrone, thank you for all the fire beats. Best co-host in the world. Clap it up for him. He's the man. Keep doing your thing, my boy. But much love, man. Tyrone, you got any last words?
I don't know, man. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, hey, we about to have fun and relax and just chill.
Man, enjoy your break. Really sit back, enjoy the family, really contemplate on what you're thankful for.
Yes, sir.
And all that good stuff. Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
Get out there
Cyber
for that.
Monday too. Much love.
Yeah.
Peace.